यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्र श्रीमद एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की समवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंद all Gurus assembled devotees, all Gurus assembled devotees, all Gurus assembled devotees, all Gurus, all Gurus, all Gurus, Shashi Guru and Shri Gaurang. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 17, Description of the Varnashrama System, Text number 12. Treta Mukhe Mahabhaga, Treta Mukhe Mahabhaga, Pranan me hridayatrayi, Pranan me hridayatrayi, Vidya pradhurabhutasya, Vidya pradhurabhutasya, Aham asam trivinmaka, Aham asam trivinmaka, Treta mukhe mahabhaga, Pranan me hridayatrayi, Vidya pradhurabhutasya, Aham asam trivirinmaka, Treta mukhe mahabhaga, Pranan me hridayatrayi, Vidya pradhurabhutasya, Aham asam trivirinmaka, Treta mukhe mahabhaga, Treta Mukhe, at the beginning of Treta Yuga, Mahabhaga, O greatly fortunate one, Pranat, from the abode of Prana, or the life air, may, my, Hridayat, from the heart, Trai, the threefold, Vidya, Vedic, Vedic knowledge, Pradurhabhut, appeared, Tasya, from that knowledge, Aham, I, Asam, appeared, Trivrit, in three divisions, Makaha, sacrifice. Translation and purport by the servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. O greatly fortunate one, at the beginning of Treta Yuga, Vedic knowledge appeared from my heart, which is the abode of the air of life in three divisions, as Rig, Sama, and Yajur. Then from that knowledge I appeared as threefold sacrifice. Purport. In Treta Yuga, the bull of religion loses one leg, and only 75% of the religious principles are manifested, represented by the three principles of the principal Vedas, Rig, Sama, and Yajur. The Lord appears in the process of threefold Vedic sacrifice. The three divisions are understood as follows. The Hota priest offers oblations into the fire and chants the Rig Veda. The Udgata priest chants the Sama Veda, and the Advaryu priest, who arranges the sacrificial ground, altar, etc., chants the Yajur Veda. In Treta Yuga, such sacrifice is the authorized process for spiritual perfection. The word Pranat in this verse refers to the universal form of the personality of Godhead. This form is further described in the following verses. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vidamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Davaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sandhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. O greatly fortunate one, at the beginning of Treta Yuga, Vedic knowledge appeared from my heart, which is the abode of the air of life in three divisions, as Rig, Sama, and Yajur. Then from that knowledge, I appeared as threefold sacrifice. Hare Krishna. Seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas here. And thank you for coming for the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today, February 14th, 2019. And seek blessings from all the devotees. And also seek apology. Because as you might have noticed, my throat condition is not good. Since yesterday morning, somehow constantly hiccups are coming, and today morning also I tried at least 6 to 7 medications to remove this hiccups, but they are not going. And also I tried to remove myself from this position, asked the authorities, but they said, no, give the class. So there are many mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim. So I think we have to add one more and seek blessings. And so seek apology if you see something happening in between the class from my mouth. Hichki. So this verse is part of the Lord Krishna explaining the Varnashrama system to the Uddhava for the benefit of all humanity. And in the past few classes, very brilliantly different devotees have discussed about how the Varnashram system is very scientifically and sensitively designed so that every person is naturally situated and also he can practice bhakti, he can progress from whatever stage of life or whatever way of inclination he may have. And in this narration, Lord Krishna, he starts to explain about the 4 yugas and how in different yugas he starts with the Krita Yuga or the Satyayuga. And in the previous verses it has been said why it is called as Krita Yuga, because Krita is a past tense of doing. If you are doing something, it is karya. And if it is already done, then it is said krita, already done. So, in Krita Yuga, whatever you wanted to do, it was accomplished. Sometimes if there is somebody very expert in some particular skill or service, and you will tell, इसके पास जाओ तुम्हारा काम हो जाएगा, that your work will be done. Or the person himself will say that take it from me that the work is already done, काम हो गया समझो. Many times when you go to some of the government officials or any place, then they give you assurance. The lawyer or the doctor or whoever, they'll say, I am such an expert that the work is already done. Take it from me. Just that you have approached me, it is already done. And we like to hear from that. Like we like to hear from our Guru Varga and from the Shastras that once you chant the holy names, once you come to the process, the success is already achieved. So it is in the past tense, it is already done. So that's how the Krita Yuga is used. That anything that people wanted to have, it was possible for them. And in the different Puranas, the different descriptions of all the four yugas are given, and it's quite fascinating to see and understand. And as I was preparing for this class yesterday and a day back, I suddenly reflected that this Treta Yuga seems to be something familiar to me in terms of preparing the class. So I checked my previous notes, and it happened that I was supposed to give a class in December, and somehow it didn't happen. So that verse was also about Treta Yuga. And somehow today's verse is also about Treta Yuga. So seems to be like the effort that I had put in preparing the class didn't go, or there was some due for me to speak on the topic. It was about the Lord coming with different symbols of the Yajna, and the description of the Yajna Purusha was that verse. So in the Satyayuga, there was, as in the previous verses, especially in the Sunday verse, there was no Varnashram system. There was only one creed of humanity that was called as the Hamsas. And then in the Varaha Purana, Vayu Purana, and Padma Purana, more explanations, more understanding about all the different ages are given. We know the most common thing, that is that the number of years of the Yuga is 4 times of Satyayuga is 4 times that of Kali Yuga. If Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years, then Satyayuga is 4 times that of the Kali Yuga. And Dwapara Yuga is 2 times, Treta Yuga is 3 times. And the average lifespan in Krita Yuga is 100,000 years. Everybody was on the average living for 100,000 years. And in Treta Yuga, decimal system, 10 down, it is 10,000 years. In Dwapara Yuga, it is 1,000 years. In Kali Yuga, it is, to start with, it is 100 years. But as the time goes, the Puranas explain that the maximum age of people will be 23 years. Anybody who here that is 23 years of age? So that is the succession. And the main place of pilgrimage, the place where people used to go to congregate to worship the Lord, the main place of pilgrimage in Satyayuga was Pushkar. Pushkar is near Nadwara, those of you have been. And in Treta Yuga, the main place of pilgrimage is Naimisharanya. And in Dwapara Yuga, the main place of pilgrimage is Kurukshetra. That's why we see when the solar eclipse happened, then everybody went there. And that's why even Dhritarashtra was worried, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre, because the main place of pilgrimage in Dwapara Yuga was Kurukshetra. And in Kali Yuga, the main place of pilgrimage, of course, if you go to different states in India, everywhere the Lord who is there is said to be the Kali Yuga Vaikunt. If you go to Tirupati, that will be said. If you go to Pandharpur, this is the holy place for the Kali Yuga. But in the scriptures, in the Vayu Purana, the main place of pilgrimage in Kali Yuga will be Mother Ganga. And that's why we see now 4 million people taking dip at the same time in Kumbh Mela. And Rishikesh and wherever Ganga exists, it still attracts 40 million, not 4 million, 40 million. And the prominent incarnations that came in the Satyayuga were, of course, in the original, the Matsya avatar, the Kurma avatar came, Varaha avatar came, Narsimha avatar, then Lord Kapila, then Naranarayan Rishis. These were the prominent avatars that came. The main incarnations in the Treta Yuga were Vamana avatar, Lord Parashuram, Lord Rama, and Prithu Maharaj. These came in the Treta Yuga. And in Dwapar Yuga, it was mainly Krishna and Balaram that came. And in Kali Yuga, Buddha avatar, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then Kalki. And in the Satyayuga, the dharma personified is personified as bull, and bull has 4 legs. And it's quite interesting to see that this bull, in the Vedic understanding, represents dharma. But in some other cultures, it represents different things. Like if you go to Wall Street in New York, outside Wall Street, there is also this bull. And outside stock exchange. And for them, bull represents artha, not dharma. So that is if you go to New York Wall Street. And if you go to Chicago, there is also a bull outside a NBA, outside a basketball stadium. The team is called as Chicago Bulls. Entertainment, sport, or you have this drink called as Red Bull that gives you more energy to enjoy. So the same bull, for in the Vedas it represents dharma, but in some other cultures it represents artha or kama. And the bull, the 4 legs are austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And as yugas decline, deteriorate, the quality of the age deteriorates, the bull starts to lose each one of its legs. And yesterday, His Grace Avtarilapu very brilliantly explained how the main, how Kali Yuga starts, how does the vice, how does evil get entry through becoming ungrateful to what has been done to you, and taking oneself too seriously and becoming too proud of one's own accomplishments. Like in the story of Shringi, he was explaining that because Shringi was too proud of his own abilities, and he didn't see the role of the king and what the king has done for all of them, and because of these two, then all the other evil through pride and ingratitude they enter. So in each yuga, one of the principles of religion diminishes. So in the Satyayuga, all the 4 principles were very strong: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But at the end of Treta Yuga, which was that pillar, which was that leg of religion that was broke, that started to disappear, that was the leg of austerity. Austerity started to diminish in Treta Yuga. The people in Satyayuga had this noble quality of being austere. But in Treta Yuga, the austerity element started to disappear from the mass of people. Then in Dwapar Yuga, another leg of religion also started to disappear. So in Treta Yuga, austerity is gone. So all we are left with is cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And in Dwapar Yuga, cleanliness is also gone. There is no cleanliness anymore left. The principle of Shaucham is gone. And then by the end of Dwapar Yuga, out of mercy and truthfulness, even mercy vanishes. There is no more compassion for others, for other living entities. That's why we see that Duryodhana, he practically had no compassion for the Pandavas, because it was towards the end of the Dwapar Yuga, and this principle of being merciless was being overcome by most of the majority of the people, especially as the Kali Yuga progresses. Mercy is very difficult to see. People appreciate it, but when it comes to themselves, as long as their interests are not hindered, they can be merciful. But as long as one's own interest is hindered, then people start to become highly arrogant and violent. And the chief virtue by which somebody was appreciated a lot in Satyayuga was austerity. That how much austerity can you perform? That's how the person was appreciated, by the chief virtue of austerity. And in Treta Yuga, the chief virtue that was prominently appreciated was that of knowledge. That if somebody had knowledge, then he was appreciated. In Dwapar Yuga, the chief virtue that was appreciated was the ability to perform sacrifices. Although sacrifices is an aspect of Treta Yuga, but the chief virtue by which people appreciated, this is what the Vayu Purana explains, is sacrifices. And the same Purana explains what is the chief virtue that is appreciated in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, the chief virtue that is appreciated is liberality. That if you are liberal, then you are appreciated. Oh, this person, this leader, is very liberal. He doesn't say anything. What I can do whatever I want to do. And that is the chief virtue. And we see this prominently in the media. Whenever any leader tries to become strict or anything, he is highly criticized. And as soon as he is very liberal, open-minded is the word that is used, then he is glorified. And Satyayuga ended the last, this seems to be like the Yuga news report of different, but there are so many interesting facts and things about that we can learn from all this. So I just thought I'll share some of this. The list is a lot of, I have a whole huge table that I made of all the comparisons of all different yugas. But some things I'm just sharing. So the last ruler in the Satyayuga, just like we know that Dwapar Yuga ended when Lord Krishna went back to the spiritual world. By the Parikshit was the last king of Dwapar Yuga, or the first king of the Kali Yuga. And same way, the last king of the Satyayuga was Raja Harishchandra. That's why he is also known as Satya Harishchandra also, because that was, right? He was known as Satyavadi Raja Harishchandra. So the And after his decline, after his demise, then Treta Yuga started. And the Treta Yuga ended with Lord Ram's going back to the Ayodhya, going back to the spiritual world, just like Dwapar Yuga ended by Lord Krishna going back to the spiritual world. Same way, Treta Yuga ended by Lord Ram going back to the spiritual world. And of course, Kali Yuga will end when Lord Kalki will come and he will destroy whoever is remaining, all the sinful living entities, and all the rishis that are doing tapasya, they will again come back out of their seclusion and they'll again start to populate. But in the Varaha Purana, there is another mention of another Kalki avatar, another way that Kali Yuga is going to end. And this is also another Vishnu avatar. And this Vishnu avatar is known as, his name is Pramiti. Now this Pramiti, this Lord Vishnu, he comes with a Sudarshan Chakra. And with this Sudarshan Chakra, just like the way Kalki destroys with his sword, he will destroy all the sinful living entities and again will re-establish Satyayuga. And this mention of this person, Vishnu, Pramiti, is also there in Greek mythology, in Greek history. He is known as Prometheus. There was few years back some movie was also made about this. Is known as Prometheus, and the explanation that is given is that he'll come with fire and he'll destroy everyone. And and the main question that is asked is that how did the ages decline? And what exactly did people do in the Satyayuga? And why was there is this purpose of creating this Varnashram system? Why was there a need? As it is said in the Satyayuga, people were so capable, all the Hamsas, they were born with mystic powers. Their mental prowess was so strong that they didn't have to physically exert or verbally do anything to get their desires fulfilled. So therefore, just through the mental contemplation, they could get their desires fulfilled. And it is said that the earth planet was filled with Kalpavriksha trees. And these Kalpavriksha trees, whatever you go and desire, they used to provide. But as the austerity of people started to go down, the Kalpavriksha trees started to vanish, and the people's ability to focus through their mind, their mental concentration also started to diminish. And because the mental concentration was so strong, therefore the natural process in that yuga was dhyana. That you just meditate, okay, you can concentrate and fulfill whatever desires you want, but ultimately nothing is going to truly satisfy you. The truth, the one thing that will satisfy you forever is meditation on the form of the Lord, and therefore that was the recommended process. And therefore that was the main yuga dharma. And then also in the Satyayuga, there was no disease or old age. Everyone was healthy and they could die at their will. Whenever they wanted to die, they wanted to leave the body, they could leave. And there was no agriculture, no need of any food grains or fruits or roots, flowers. The earth itself produced the word that is used, some kind of juice that people used to drink, and that was sufficient for them to live. So therefore there was no cities, no villages. This is explained in the Puranas, that people were just staying in forests, in the peaks of the mountains or in the shores, and there was no civilization that was there, because everybody understood that the goal of life is to meditate on Vishnu and go back to the spiritual world. So therefore there was no need for any of these arrangements that we do. But when the principle of austerity, now with all this, you may think that where is austerity? But austerity is, in spite of the ability to get whatever you want to get, to still be able to focus and only want Vishnu. Because through your mind, just like in your phone, there are so many apps. Hundreds of thousands of apps are there in the. You can open any app with the same effort. But if you choose to only keep opening Pocket Vedas or Veda base, then that is austerity. Same way, in the Satyayuga, there was no austerity for that there is too much rain, too much heat. There were no seasons. All year round, it was a pleasant spring. No hot condition, no cold conditions, no rainy conditions. But the main austerity is, in spite of such a pleasurable existence, and anything that they want, they could get just by their mental prowess, airships to travel to any other planets, go on sightseeing. But to be able to just say, no, for 60,000 years minimum, I am just going to be at one place and focus and meditate on Vishnu. But when this austerity, this principle of that only wanting in your mind Vishnu was gone, then people had to be given some kind of physical process. Because now the mind is not sufficient for you to progress. There also has to be some physical process that is involved. And because people also started to, because the Hamsas were those that had no discrimination, had no envy. But slowly, as the age deteriorated, even in Satyayuga, it is said in Satyayuga, the currency of people, if ever they wanted to exchange, was jewels. The Ratna, the jewels were the currency with which people used to exchange. And the pots that they used to use was that of gold. Later in Treta Yuga, the currency became gold and the pots became silver. Later in Dwapar Yuga, the currency became silver and the pots became either brass or copper. And in Kali Yuga, the currency became copper or all these metals, and the pots, it started with soil, earth. Now of course it has come down to plastic. So therefore, then Lord Krishna, he created this Chaturvarnam Maya Shrishtam. He creates this Varnashram system not at the beginning of the creation, of course the conception is there, but at the beginning of Treta Yuga. And then, because now each living entity has different understandings and different types of motivations, desires that they want to fulfill. So therefore all the different sciences and arts and crafts were created, and then the cities were found. That's why we read in the Bhagavatam about Prithu Maharaj creating the Prithvi planet, the different continents and the different cities and villages. And also in Treta Yuga we hear about Lord Ram's ruling ideal kingdom. That is, so the main way by which Treta Yuga people got delivered was whatever they were acquiring to fulfill their desires, they should do it as part of offering. That yagnartat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. That yes, now you are fulfilling your material desires, and it was not just through mental contemplation that they could, now they had to physically and verbally also put efforts. And it is said, as age progresses, the amount of effort that people have to put to get their desires fulfilled keeps increasing more and more. If in the Satyayuga it was just through mental contemplation, then in Kali Yuga it is through severe hardships that one can get anything. And so therefore all the four Vedas and the different divisions were created, so that, okay, if it is the main yajna, the main way by which people were getting purified was obviously yajna, but the yajna is not just the rituals, that the ghee offering that we do. That was mainly for the Vaishyas, the Agnihotra yajna, because Vaishyas were the ones who were producing ghee, were producing all the grains. And the Kshatriyas were doing those, and also their main way was to conquer kingdoms and make sure that those kingdoms were ruled according to dharma. So expedition or arambha was considered to be yajna, that you conquer the lands and you make sure that the lands followed proper dharma. And the Shudras, for them the yajna was to serve all the four orders in the proper way. And for the Brahmanas, the main yajna, it still is something like the dhyana, but it is more, it is called as japa yajna, that through the chanting of, through the audible chanting of the holy names, the Brahmanas, that was their personal yajna, their personal salvation. And as you know, all the four varnas, there were proper rules that Kshatriyas are supposed to obey the Brahmanas, the Vaishyas are supposed to obey the Kshatriyas, and the Shudras are supposed to follow all the three classes. And as the principle of cleanliness also started to vanish, because for a yajna to be done, cleanliness was a very important aspect, shaucha, internal and external cleanliness. So therefore, as the age started to deteriorate, even that form of elevation, liberation of yajna was replaced by Lord Vishnu by the establishment of deity worship, by the Krite dhyayato Vishnu Tretayam yajato makai Dwapare paricharyayam Kalau tad hari kirtanat. That even acquiring of all these objects is a very difficult endeavor, and people already had a natural inclination to worship someone, because the kingly rule and all these rules had come. So therefore deity worship was very natural, and because Krishna is merciful, that even although things may not be pure enough, Krishna was, the deity worship could be accomplished. It's not like today's unclean things, but that was the process that was introduced, and therefore it is said that all over the world we see huge statues, huge monuments of different worshipable things manifesting in all over the world, because that aspect of deity worship was there in the yuga before this. And in the Kali Yuga, as it has explained, even that ability to paricharya, to worship the deity form of the Lord, it has become very difficult. 6 times to go to the temple, attend aratis, and engage in all the festivals. So the Lord became mobile. The Lord became, He came out of the temples and anywhere and everywhere just by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare. Yet the process became even simplified, and our most benefit that we have being born in this Kali Yuga is that because of the advent of Lord Chaitanya, just by that process of chanting of the holy names, we are going to achieve that which even in other ages was very, very difficult to achieve. It is said that one day of bhakti that is done in Kali Yuga is equivalent to doing 1 month in Dwapar Yuga, 1 year in Treta Yuga, and 100 years in Satyayuga, because the age is so difficult to handle. And therefore Lord Krishna also, he came in this most merciful name, Kali Kale Namarupe Krishna Avatar. And he also sent many of his empowered representatives to help him in this mission. And we have 2 days back we had Advaita Acharya's appearance, and then coming Monday we have Lord Nityananda's appearance, to prepare our consciousness and prepare the world for receiving the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And today is also another of our prominent acharyas in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya line, Sripad Madhvacharya's appearance today. And although this Yuga's table has a lot of details, I'd like to shift to the next topic about Sripad Madhvacharya. And the pranam mantra for Madhvacharya, one of the pranamas is Pratamo Hanuman Nama Dvitiyo Bhima Evacha Purna Pragna Titiyeshu Bhagavat Karya Sadhaka. That same Lord's empowered representative who came initially as Hanuman to help Lord Ram, and then to help Lord Krishna as Bhima, he has come in the Kali Yuga as Madhvacharya, as Purna Pragya. And it is said that when Bhima came, he killed many of the demons with his club. But one of the demons, whose name was Manimanta, although he was killed, he had great revenge. He wanted to take revenge on Bhima, and he wanted to destroy the devotional culture. So therefore it is said that he plotted to come in the Kali Yuga not as a powerful Rakshasa, but as with his whole gang, with his whole entourage, as powerful Brahmanas, and come and destroy the Vedas by removing people's faith in them, by saying that this is not what is right. So therefore all the Shankaracharya and the the propagation of monism was very prevalent because in the Kali Yuga the Vedas were misused to kill animals, slaughter animals and eat them. So therefore Buddha came to stop the Vedas, and then Shankaracharya and and other monists, they removed of course Shankaracharya brought back the Vedas into the picture, saying that it is something similar to what Buddha has preached, but Vedas are not something bad, but they are propagating the same thing. But then to establish properly, re-establish, then Ramanujacharya, he came and propagated the Vishishta Advaita, that yes, there is oneness, but there is also special attributes to the Supreme Lord. There is differences, there is special attributes. And that is known as Vishishta Advaita. But then Madhvacharya, he came to establish Dvaita. And that's why his symbol, you see, it is like this. And this symbol, the Madhva Sampradaya, Brahmanas, the Acharyas, they explain, what does this represent? This represents that there is Dvaita, there is different, there is two things. That is called as Panchabeda. That there are 5 essential differences, and that one jiva and another jiva, they are not same. It is not that all jivas are same. Each jiva is unique to another jiva. That is the one difference. Another is that jiva is different from prakriti, from jada. So jiva and jiva are different, jiva and jada are different. And the third difference is jada and jada. Prakriti and prakriti is also different. You can't say everything in the matter, it's all the same. If you eat food one day later, that same food which will nourish you, one day later, it will cleanse you. It will remove all the fluids in your body. So not everything is same. So jada and jada are different. And then Jada and Jagadish, they are also different. The Lord is not just the nature, as some modern thinkers say that nature is God. So he said, Jada and Jagadish, they are also different. And then Jiva and Jagadish, they are also different. The Jiva can never be Jagannath or the Lord. So this is what he stands for. But another thing that he stands for is that he came to propagate 2 essential things. One is dualism, this difference. Another is called as realism. Realism means that the nature, the manifestations of the nature, they are not illusion, they are real. They are temporary, but they are real. And one of the descendants of Sripad Madhvacharya, he has written the whole Madhva Vijay, which elaborately explains the amazing life of Madhvacharya. Quite fascinating. Yesterday, as I was reading I could only cover till his childhood, the amount of pastimes that he has done in that. And later in the years, he personally went and met Sripad Vedavyas, and he presented to him the Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, and verified with him that whether this is in the proper line. And then it is said that when he went to the Himalayas in the Badrinath, many times we hear that he just went up and his disciples followed. The story says that in Badrinath he fasted and did tapasya for 48 days. For 48 days he didn't drink, he didn't eat, he was constantly praying to Badri Vishal and Vedavyas for guidance and for approval that what I have written is this right. And after 48 years of fasting, Vedavyas appears to him in the current Badrinath, and he tells him that I want you to come to the upper Badri, to the Uttar Badri. And that's when Madhvacharya, he starts to walk up after Vedavyas gives him permission to come up. And then one of his disciples, Satyaraj Tirtha, he also tries to follow him. And Satyaraj Tirtha explains that he was way back and he saw his guru, Madhvacharya, he was jumping from one peak of the Himalayas to another peak, from one boulder to another boulder. In the same spirit as Hanumanji was jumping, in the same spirit as Bhima was destroying the demons, in the spirit to establish, just like they assisted to establish Lord Ram's and Dharma, and also to establish the Lord Krishna's wish. Same way, Madhvacharya, he came to destroy all the atheistic philosophies, the monistic philosophies, to pave the way for Lord Chaitanya's mission to be accomplished and established in a much larger impact way. And therefore, Madhvacharya's, the theory that he propounded is known as Dvaita or the Abheda Tattva. And then Lord Chaitanya came and he harmonized by the Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, that he preached that the living entity and the Lord, they are one in quality but different in quantity. We are infinitesimal, we are small, and the Lord is infinite. So we pay a huge amount of gratitude and debt to Sripad Madhvacharya for his contributions, and I recommend devotees to go through some of his pastimes today as they get time. And also he gave us many of the clarifications about the Mahabharata Tatpar Nirnay, and it said that he wrote 37 books, and today is the day when he disappeared in the Ananteshwar temple as he was speaking on the Aitareya Upanishad. Suddenly he vanished and there was a heap of flowers in the place that he was sitting, and he went back to serve his Lord Vishnu in the Vaikuntha planet. And in the Gaur Ganodayas Deepika, it is said that Madhvacharya is also part of Radha Krishna's eternal Golok pastimes, and his name is Madhavi Gopi. So it was not just he was from the Vaikuntha planet, he was also part of the Radha Krishna's Nitya Lila. And some come before to assist the Lord in their mission, and some come to assist the Lord later. Just like we have advanced party and we have later the wind-up team or the succession team. So Madhvacharya, all these acharyas are the advanced party before the Lord Chaitanya came to establish. So we beg that he give us this determination to follow some of the principles, the teachings that he has given, and remain pure in our intent to serve the Lord sincerely. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sripad Madhvacharya ki.